An interesting point in Benjamin's and Euromonitor study was that enforcement is quite limited because of limited resources in our SAPS and in our law enforcement. But talking about law enforcement makes me think about the legal framework, Jan. In terms of the legal framework, what is the key legal changes or things we must consider in the legal framework that would empower our enforcers and the stakeholders to be able to curb the growth of illicit alcohol?
Yeah, I think from a brand holder's perspective, our biggest wish list would be to obtain consistency and a unified approach nationally. And we always refer to the 3 phases when you deal with counterfeit products. And the first is seizing or confiscating the product. Okay. Secondly, apprehending the appropriate suspects. If you can go up all the way to the manufacturer, that would be the best scenario. And then thirdly, prosecuting these offenders in the criminal courts. Mm-hmm. I think earlier one of the panelists mentioned as a side comment that you often see all these publications about large seizures, large orders, and all these suspects being apprehended, but you very seldomly hear as to actually what happened to them, whether they were successfully prosecuted, what was the end result. In terms of legislation, I think we have very good legislation. I think the Counterfeit Goods Act, in terms of its sanctions, has teeth. I think it's more a case of implementing those sanctions that are being provided for. The Counterfeit Goods Act make provision for someone based on a first offence, a first-time infringer to be sentenced to direct imprisonment of up to 3 years. And it's important to bear in mind that that's per article. That's not per incident, that's not per crime, that's actually per counterfeit article that's found in that person's possession. So I think with a forum like this, the main objective would be to collaborate all these law enforcement institutions as to forming a unified approach and ironing out all the difficulties and the challenges that you may face throughout these stages, and getting the end result in prosecuting them properly and getting the deterrent sentence that it rightfully deserves.
Yeah. What are the sentence lengths that, if you're found, I know we know the legal framework, but what's the sentencing structure?
Well, it's like I mentioned, for a first-time offender under the Counterfeit Goods Act, you can get up to 3 years imprisonment, or a fine of up to 5,000 rands per article. But I think in practice, what we've unfortunately seen is that courts are too lenient. They very seldomly impose these sentences. I myself have been involved in only one case where direct imprisonment was actually imposed on an offender. So I think in that regard, where a panel like this can take part, or where the enforcement officials can really make a difference, is in terms of collecting the necessary evidence to serve as aggravation when it comes to the sentencing stage. The detrimental impact that this can have to the consumers, the safety risks, those are very important factors to actually bear in mind when it comes to the sentencing aspects.